continuation of the movement through a membrane lecture that we talked about this earlier about how molecules move through the membrane, through a cell membrane, and how it's able to be facilitated through diffusion, osmosis. Well, today we're going to talk about the two types of transports. We're going to talk about passive, and we're talking about active transport. Now, beginning passive transport, it's just like what we talked about through, like I said, osmosis as well as diffusion or facilitative diffusion. It's when molecules move from a higher concentration to a lower concentration. And in result, it requires no energy. It just simply moves from high to low. Think about being stuck in a really condensed class or a room, and eventually a door opens up that has another room that's actually empty. You know, eventually everyone's just going to slowly, but surely move out to the next room because they want to have more spatial difference. It's the same thing as passive transport. So that's the key thing you need to remember, is that passive transport, high to low concentration, requires no energy. Very simple. And like I said, other types of osmosis, facilitative diffusion, and diffusion. It's just simple diffusion. Remember those three types because those are the main keys that we're talking about. However, when we talk about active transport, it's a little bit opposite. It actually is the opposite of what passive does. It's actually molecules moving from a concentration of lower to higher concentration. And result, this actually requires energy because think about it this way. You have a concentrated people, let's say like there's traffic coming up against you. You have to kind of like fight through all these people to try to get to the destination. Well, that requires a lot of energy because you got to bump through people. You got to like do swim movies, or all of a sudden a linebacker or something like that. What, you're in the NFL? So that's a fun little example I like here. So remember, this actually takes energy, so it's not so simple. Now, an example of this is the sodium-potassium pump that actually is placed in your neurons. Actually, sodium actually pumps in and potassium pumps out. And actually what happens is the concentrations get are higher in both sectors, so that actually it has to use an enzyme that actually has to pump them back out to their destinations, which requires energy. Now, in examples of active transport we talk about is endo and exocytosis. Now, endocytosis is the process of taking materials and engulfing them within, which dissolves them. This is actually a product of which your cells use. By phagocytosis, where it's like white blood cells engulfing any bacterial cells or anything pathogens that come into your way, it engulfs them. Or penocytosis, where it just takes any like alcohol or any type of extremities that the body the cells are not really used to. That's a penocytosis. So those are two types of active transport. And then the other, as well as for endocytosis. So as for exocytosis, it's very simple. Exo meaning exit. So this is actually just when your cells create different products and engulf them in vessels, we call them. And what actually do is they actually move from within the cell and then throughout the cell, which then gets released to their destination. So remember, the two big key things is active and passive transport. Passive transport, load or high to low, no energy. Active transport, low to high, requires energy. And also remember the key examples that I already told you, because that's to also be tested. Alright? Well, thanks. So we're going to conclude for now, and I hope to see you.